This is a luxury panel. This is a panel of agents who work heavily in the luxury market. And so we're going to, oh, thank you. Perfect, thank you. And we'll pass around the mic as we make comments, yes. So what I'd like to do is ask each of you to just introduce yourself, tell us what company you're with, and what market you serve. Want to start first, Stephanie?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Malios. I'm with Compass Real Estate, and I've been in the business through 3 recessions.
My name's Nikki Klein. I'm with eXp Realty, and I've been in the business for 8 years.
Hi, Vanessa Pollock, and gosh, I'm coming on 18 years in the business with Keller Williams.
Hi, I'm Robyn Burdett, and as of about 45 days ago, I'm with eXp after 27 years of being with RE/MAX. I've been in the business for 34 years this year. I know. I got in at like 16.
I've been in longer than you. I'm Sue Adler, and I'm with Keller Williams, and I serve the market that we're in right now. And if I tell you how long I've been in the business, I'm telling you my age. Actually, I grew up in the business, so I've been doing it since I was born, so pretty much.
My name is Jason Pierce. I work with Prominent Property Sotheby's, and I got started, my first full year was 2014.
Great.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of experience on this panel with luxury, but for those that are not in the luxury space, how did you guys each get into luxury?
I guess I'm holding the microphone.
That's how it works, Jonathan.
I spent quite a bit of time thinking about if I could deliver some message that's of value, especially when I'm on stage with people like this, and it's tough to contribute anything that's worthwhile. This is what I think I've come up with. The first sale that you have to make is the one to yourself, to convince yourself that you deserve the listing. If you feel that you deserve that listing, and everyone's going to get there in a different way, you have to convince yourself that you should have that listing. Once you've convinced yourself, then you got some momentum and you can start influencing other people. So I would say that's the most important part to start with.
I want to stop there for a second because that's really important, is the mindset. My first sale ever in real estate was $6.8 million, ever. And everybody says, how? And I said, because I believed I could. And that mindset is absolutely, I love that your first sale is to yourself. That is the most important comment ever. Thank you.
I don't remember my first luxury, honestly, but I do remember when I moved here, because I was in Philadelphia. So I remember in New Jersey, I door knocked an expired listing. So, and it had been on the market for a couple years, and I actually sat with it for a couple years and then sold all these luxury homes off of it. I made about $500,000 off of that one house because they wouldn't reduce their price, but I kept selling other people other luxury houses. So it worked.
Remember door knocking?
I did that a lot. Didn't have the internet. So back, I think it was in 1996 or 97, I sold 36 homes for $3.1 million. In the same year, a woman in my marketplace sold 31 homes for $37 million. And it kind of hit home that, wait, what is she doing? Why did she get this? What does she have that I don't have? And I really believed I couldn't do it. I honestly believed that because she belonged to all the country clubs, that she had the right car, the right outfits, that I couldn't do it. And that because I didn't live in that neighborhood. So I actually had to believe in myself and start looked at her marketing material and go, that's not as good as mine. And look at her listings. Wait. So she puts her shoes on the same way I do every day. And I started believing in myself. And so the first one that I went on a luxury listing appointment, it was like, all right, just remember, just be you. Just be you. And slammed it. I mean, just be you and be the person that you want to be and the person that they want to hire. And that's how you kind of break into it. But you got to get over that stuff of, well, she sold $37 million and I same amount. So just be you and you can do it.
That's great. When I first got started, I made a commitment to my community first and foremost, and decided that this was where I wanted to plant roots. This was where I was going to be raising my children, and committed to staying really true to who I am from a creative standpoint and how I wanted to grow the mission and vision of the business. And then as we continue to layer creativity and marketing into who we are and what we do, just became a natural gravitational pull across all price points. And so for us, it really wasn't about serving a price point or moving into luxury. It was about putting people first and people over price points, but then the luxury came, and there was a pull. And so now what we're known for really does serve from $299 to $2.9. But really, it was that initial commitment to being grounded in a community, and it came over time.
For me, so I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, by the way. There's this tool, it's called social media. And I actually run a pretty large Facebook group. And so for me, it was really helping the community, connecting people, and then using my showings. So if you want to get into luxury real estate, you have to show luxury real estate. So just as an example, all of my social media, I would, if I was taking a client out when I was brand new in 2014, I had a lot of rental clients. And so if I had a building behind me and I had a client that wanted to rent a $1,000 property, but across the water, there were $5 million mansions on the water, I would take a picture of a lizard on the dock and be like, look at my friend who's helping me show these houses today. And so people come up with their own conclusion about what I'm showing. They don't know that I'm showing the building behind me for a $1,000 rental. They think I'm showing these beautiful $5 million properties. I just let them come to their own conclusion. And I got so many messages on social media from people like, you're doing so well. I'm like, I'm doing so well. You have to believe it. And so, and then the leads would start coming in, but it's all about perception, right? I didn't say I was showing these properties. I was like, look at my friend on the dock. And then they would see the houses behind him, and they just came to their conclusion. So social media has been huge for me.
My first sale was $67,000 on Mead Street in Vailsburg, Newark. So I've come a long way. But I'm just me. So my first really big sale in Short Hills where I broke a record was $2.8 million a very long time ago. And it was just friends of mine who said, hey, we're thinking about this. And they were both second marriage. They were about to get married. And we just found the right house, and they fell in love with it, and they bought it. They eventually later donated it to Greenwood Gardens because it was behind Old Short Hills Park. A couple years later, one of my kids' friends' parents said, hey, we want you to help us find a house. I'm like, okay. And I sold them another house that was a record-breaking house in Short Hills. I've broken records in West Orange, I've broken records in Essex Fells with extraordinary homes. A lot of other towns where I've broken the glass ceiling of the price point, and I didn't do it on purpose. I just was friends with those people. They knew me, they liked me, they trusted me, they knew me, but I was in flow with them. And that last piece is the piece that it's taken me a while to really be able to articulate. But when you're in their world, I have rich friends, I have friends who have no money. I don't care, they're just my friends. But I'm not friends with them because I'm hoping I'm gonna get their deal. And they know that. So I think being authentic to who you are makes people trust you. And I've told people, don't buy that house. I'm gonna make a lot of money, but I don't think it's the right house for you. And then they thank me and respect me that I told them the truth and it wasn't self-serving. And I think that's how you develop a reputation in the community, and hopefully with your colleagues too, where they know you're not just trying to sell the house for the most money possible, you're trying to make the best deal for the client. And then that level of respect filters out into the community. And so you just have to be who you are.
Love it. And actually, just a little note about Stephanie. Stephanie was the first person that I spoke to when I was considering getting my real estate license. My son was just one, and I was thinking about going into real estate, and a friend said, oh, you should call our realtor. Her name's Stephanie. She'll talk with you. And I did. I called her and I kind of picked her brain. And I remember during that conversation, I said, I don't know if I should join the Maplewood office or the Short Hills office. And you said, well, you can work really hard and sell a $500,000 house, or you can work really hard and sell a $2 million house. Which one would you prefer to do? And I said, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'll join the Short Hills office. So anyway, I just remember that little piece of advice, and it's true, you have to be strategic, but I love all your answers.
I just wanted to sort of follow up on something you just said, Stephanie, too, because I think this is really important. I remember also I had a client and I was selling them they were interested in the penthouse of the St. Regis in Bal Harbor in Miami. And this was at the height of the crisis. So this was 2009. And so the developer did not want to move off the price. And I said to them, it's not right for you. It's too expensive in this market and it's not right for you. And his wife really wanted it. And so I said, I don't feel good in doing this. It's sort of like, it's overpriced in where you are right now. And he says, you're talking yourself out of a 6-figure commission in the middle of the crisis. And I said, it's not right for you. And so we went at that lunch. He ran one of the largest hedge funds, and they were starting what was called a vulture fund. I don't know how long most of you have been in the business, but a vulture fund in the middle of the crisis was developed for that inventory that went back to the bank in bulk. And so at that lunch, he actually hired me as a consultant, put me on retainer at that lunch at $20,000 a month to get all of the deals in Florida that was right for his fund because of my finance background for doing the right thing. So that's incredibly important because that happened immediately, right? Karma takes a while to sort of come back. That happened in minutes, but it's always doing the right thing for the client.
Love it, absolutely. All right, so we're going to go another round here, and we're going to try to make it a little interesting. So, what are some of the common needs from your luxury clients, and what has been one of the most outrageous ones that you've had to deal with?
I saw that question yesterday, and I was like, I can't think of anything outrageous. We've all babysat our clients' kids. I've, taken kids off of jumping up and down on the bed. One kid bit the piano and left a mark. Those are the outrageous things that come to mind. I've had people change diapers and listings. I'm like, hey, I've gone to buy the diapers. I think that runs across the whole gamut. I don't know that the luxury space has more outrageous people than any other category. But what was the first part of the question?
What are the common needs of luxury clients?
Well, I think discretion is the number one. When you start blabbing about your client to other people, that's the kiss of death. And I feel like the vault. I know lots of secrets about a lot of people, and you can't share them, even sort of semi-anonymously at the bar later. So, someone might overhear it. So I think having discretion, especially with high net worth individuals, they don't want their stuff out in public. I often don't promote on social media a house that I just sold because I feel like the privacy of the client is more important. So sometimes I'm sort of like that stealth agent behind the scenes, and I'm okay with that.
I promote all of my sold listings. But I ask permission. So I don't know if there's anything super outrageous. I probably think it's normal. Other people might think it's outrageous. I think you pretty much covered everything that I would have said, that it's really discretion is super important. But I feel like I treat my luxury and my not so luxury that like very similarly. We're all just people. Some just make a little more money, but money is energy. So that's a whole nother topic.
Well, we have a theme. I couldn't agree more. We go into every consultation from the very beginning saying this will be treated with doctor-patient confidentiality. It's a very small town, it's a very small community, and no one will know any of your business from me or anyone on my team. And if anyone breaks that rule, it's grounds for termination, and everyone in our organization knows it. And when we lead that conversation with that, we're able to then go into a real, true, authentic consultative conversation for the client. And I think, again, it's we're serving people, not price points, and everyone wants to know that they're being treated with kindness, with compassion, with understanding, and with customized service for how they absorb information, how they need to be communicated with, what are their pain points through what is truly one of the most stressful things a human being can go through. It's death, divorce, and moving. And we have the distinct privilege of walking that out with them. And so customizing how we approach them and how we hold their hand through that process, again, is for all people. And it's important to take the time to understand what their needs are in that regard, and then have your systems in place to be able to implement that customization so that no matter how many clients you're serving, they feel like they're your only client.
Yeah, ditto. So the only thing that I would say is that at all levels, and I mean, I deal with first-time home buyers to very, in my marketplace, high-end luxury buyers and sellers. Whoever I'm dealing with, to me, the most important thing is that they need to know that I hear them. They need to know that they're heard. And so a prime example is I just had one, and we got finished with the staging, and there was this great artwork that we were going to put up on the wall, and the seller was there, and she, a little passive aggressive, but she would turn around and she just said, "Is that the right place for it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I think it looks great, and the stager does too." And I turned around and I just walked by her, and you could feel that it was not right. She was not happy. And I turned around and I said, "You know what? Let's try it other places." And she was like, "How did you hear me?" That made the biggest difference. Our relationship completely changed. At that moment, we moved it to another place. It looked gorgeous. She was happy. So it's the idea that you are listening to them, not verbally throwing up all over them, which we tend to do as real estate agents. We're taking the context at the moment and listening to our clients. And when you're dealing with more luxury, because they have a lot more privacy issues, they have a lot more, I don't want everybody to know everything. I mean, I had somebody recently, just an agent, go in and take pictures inside my listing without my permission and put them all over social media. His broker got a call and they all came down. But that's my listing. And they needed to know, because they were like, "We feel so violated." I heard them and we took care of it. And that's a big thing when you're dealing with people that have wealth, is they need to be heard. They don't need to be told what to do. They need to be heard.
So I mean, with the Volt thing, that kind of goes without saying in this market, but our clients around here tend to be on Wall Street, so they're looking at us really, they want to know that we know our stuff. We need to know our numbers. We need to be able to analyze the market for them, get into specifics, really show the data. And then also they really care about quality. So we have everything in-house. So we have our in-house writers, we have in-house professional photography. I see that like a lot of agents will say, yes, we use professional photography, but what they do is they call one of those companies that send the next available. That is not professional photography. So you need a consistent quality experience for these people. And then once you have that, yes, you put that out there on social media. You have a digital showcase for their house. You get it out there everywhere because you don't want somebody else interpreting their house for you. So the more information that you can get out there, like the Matterport, a cinematic video, all of that kind of stuff really is what they're looking for. They're looking, I mean, even we have them write letters on what they have loved about living there. So it turns it into a real experience for the buyer. And when you get that out there, that builds the brand for the house, but it also builds a brand for your own business, because then you use that information for your next listing appointment, and then your luxury business just grows from there.
I'm the only person on the stage that has done outrageous things. Maybe I'm a huge pushover, but I've played the role of like mover, landscaper, walk the dogs. I've been asked a long list of ridiculous things. Shovel snow, all of which I've done. But this is what I've learned from that, is the initial conversation that you have, like at the listing appointment, is where you can set expectations of what your job actually is. Because if you don't set those expectations, it's kind of like anything goes. At least that's how it was for me. So I've learned from those mistakes, and you need to, lay out that if somebody's not there and it's the winter time, how are you going to handle, the snow removal? Because otherwise you can find yourself shoveling a really long driveway and walkway so you can show your multi-million-dollar listing. And I've been there, made like every mistake, I feel like. Other than that, I agree with a lot of the things that you guys said, so I'll avoid repetition.
I want to talk about branding for a second. So when you think about luxury, right? So somebody sort of thinks about an orange bag with a brown ribbon, they know the store. When they think of a light blue box with a white ribbon, we know what we're talking about. If we look at anything that Steve is wearing, we think luxury, right? So it's like, let's talk about branding. How do all of you, because what we talk about is the most important relationship is that you do business with somebody that you like and trust. So how do you brand yourselves in that luxury market?
How do I brand myself in the luxury market? I mean, I think that there's a book that Jim Collins wrote. It's Good to Great. I think there was a lot of cool stuff that came out of that book. I asked a lot of people who I look up to if they could recommend what one book to read, what would it be? And that's the one that Charlie Adler recommended to me, so I read that. Got a lot of stuff out of that book. They talk about a hedgehog concept and sticking to it. And for me, I love playing with cameras. I love photography and videography. I do a lot of it myself. I do all of it myself, really. And so I just want to be doing the absolute best I can for every single thing I do. And anything I put my name on, I want to have my absolute best efforts, even if it's a rental, which we've calculated, like the time invested. I lose money every rental listing I take. We take them because you have to keep the relationships going. And, so I think that belief system is my brand, is I'm going to do the absolute best I'm capable of, regardless of what the paycheck is. And that's like sort of a mantra.
Well, I mean, there's the aesthetic part of it, so you want to get that out there as the brand. But really, it's your brand is what your clients say about you, right? So I think I'd mentioned earlier what we do, but it's our brand at this point is. I mean, if you do a great job and create a great experience for your clients, that becomes your brand. I mean, they're going to, and it's the least expensive marketing out there is to do a great job for your people. And then they're just going to rave about you. They become your raving fans. They'll write the great reviews. And then when you go on your next appointment and you're showing, so I mean, with us, I mean, my biggest challenge was always how do we explain this experience that our team gives? Because we have a big team. I have 45 people on my team. Half are agents and half our support staff, but we have everything in-house. So our own marketing team, transaction management, inspection negotiators, everything. So for us to be able to explain that could sound overwhelming to a client, but for a client who's been experiencing that, explains it through social media, through just their experience. We always ask them, you always want to ask them to do that for you, or recommending their friends on a constant basis. That becomes your brand. So you want other people to really say what your brand is, your clients.
So you mentioned books. Have you guys read the book Giftology? Yeah, and so that's what I do a lot with my brand is I like to give gifts. And not necessarily, oh, here's a bottle of wine. I had a client that gave me a referral. There's a great bear company up in Connecticut, and they had two little kids, twins that were about a year and a half. I had them send a gigantic bear as a thank you. I had somebody give me a referral, and they have dogs. So I went on Chewy and sent them a bark box. I do things that are not going to be your typical type because I'm listening to them. I've gotten to know them. We have meaningful relationship. So I want to send a gift that's to them, not just here's a Starbucks gift card. Thanks for the referral. Something that's really about it. And the book Giftology is great because it really talks about the meaning of how important a gift can be to every single person that there is. So I highly recommend that because that's part of your brand. It's part of my brand. Yeah.
Everyone's opening Amazon right now to order the book. So not quite a decade ago, I wanted to be sure that we had a business message and mission that we were known for, and that it wasn't about Vanessa, it wasn't about our group, but it was about our core values, and that our brand would be what we stood for. And it's kind of a brand sandwich because the real estate service is in the middle, and then it's surrounded by care and generosity. So if you follow me on social media, you see that I hashtag everything care, serve, give. And I dressed up today instead of wearing my care, serve, give t-shirt. But you literally see it everywhere. And so people know what we stand for. They know that we are going to care about our community and our clients. We're going to provide the absolute best service in the real estate industry. And then we're committed to giving back. And the give model for us is really about inspiring generosity within our industry and within our clients. So much like you, wanting to see and acknowledge and honor our clients, instead of giving a closing gift, we actually make a donation to their charity of choice. And so we launched closingforacause.org many, many years ago. You're all welcome to use it. It is free and a gift to the industry, and I make no money off of that. And it gives you an opportunity to say to your client, what charity is your family passionate about? And you'd be shocked. A lot of people say, nobody's ever asked me that before. And then we get to lead our clients into a family connection conversation at a table where they're talking about generosity and giving back. And they're like, it's not even our money. Our realtor is going to make this donation. Where do we want her to give? And children who grow up around generous role models who talk about generosity actually grow up to be more generous. So we get to plant that seed of generosity into each of our clients' families at the dinner table. And so there's so much more that we want to do in terms of leaving a legacy with generosity. And our brand has become known not only then as Care, Serve, Give, but also for our group in the Maplewood South Orange community, Pollock Properties Group. We are known for our music initiative that we put in place starting in 2014. And we consistently fund the instrument rentals for band and orchestra for every single child in need in our school district. So our whole community, again, it goes back to a commitment to your community and the legacy that you want to leave. People in our community know, oh, they're the number one team, and they've changed our community and the fabric of it with their generosity mission while doing that.
So I agree with you 100%. It starts with community. I run a Facebook group locally for my area. I have almost 25,000 people in there. And so my branding is really about connecting people, bringing people together. So I'm actually opening an office for my community. If you don't have a community or a community group, my recommendation would be to at least have a list of vendors, plumbers, electricians. Be the person that people go to for anything. That's really like a really good way to promote yourself and your brand is by just knowing who to go to and be the go-to. People call me Nikki Knows in my Facebook group. They're like, ask Nikki, Nikki knows. So it's becoming your own brand by knowing who to go to. That's really what's worked for me.
Haven't been that conscious of it, and I'm trying to get more conscious of it. The book I read this year that made the most impact to me was The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. I highly recommend it. She's an absolutely amazing person who started out working for the Hunger Project, and then she talked about going to a corporation where somebody had done something wrong, and they were just going to give her a check for $50,000, for some PR, and she felt dirty taking the money. And then she went to a church in Harlem where the water was pouring through the walls, and she told her story about helping this community in Bangladesh, and this woman got up and said, I made $50 washing some white woman's clothes today, but I believe in your mission, and I'm going to give you that. And she made $250 at that meeting, and how that meant so much more to her that she sent the $50,000 check back to the corporate executive. And years later, when he retired, he reached out to her and said, no one had ever done that, but you changed my life. And he gave many, many more times that amount of money because of who she was as a person. And she just talked about, it was a bigger conversation about how she was helping the rainforest in Ecuador and how those people are trying to connect the condor and the eagle, and it's very esoteric, but it was just a beautiful book about how every single person can make an impact by doing the smallest thing. And that book has really moved me this year, and I'm trying to align my values and my goals with how I can make an impact. My brand is really just me and who I am. And you know, the first day I walked my sixth grader to middle school, which is a block from my house, but I'd never walked that way during school drop-off. And the middle school principal was putting cones out so that there was a walkway for the students and the commuters to get to school. And I said, what the is that? And they're like, oh, yeah, we do this every morning. And I'm like, oh, that's going to change. So it took me 3.5 years. I went to 1 million meetings. I sat on the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board. I went to all the Board of Ed meetings. The whole thing, police meetings, everything. And there's now a sidewalk there. My initials are a little bit there in the corner. But like that meant something to me. And I did it for me and my family, but also for everyone else in my community. And I just could not believe there's not a sidewalk leading to the school. Like, this just makes no sense. So my next championship event is going to be getting the speed limit reduced to 15 from 25, because I just don't understand how it could be 25 in a school on a street with no sidewalks. So my pet projects about what matters to me and my family is what resonates with other people. So I'm not doing it for notoriety. I'm not doing it to try and, oh, I'm so great. But it means something to me personally. And so I think everybody in this room has something that means something to them personally. And when you commit to it with passion, the other people in your world respect that and connect with you on that. And it eventually leads to business, but that's not why you're doing it.
Great. Thank you. Can you see why these guys really excel at what they do and why their clients gravitate towards them? They're just real pros. So the title of this panel is Leading in Luxury, What Does the Future Hold? So I think we'll wrap this panel up with one last question, and that is, in this market, depending on where it's going or where you see it going, how do you think it's going to impact the luxury market?
Since I'm holding the mic,
Get
I'm
out
going
your
first.
crystal ball stuff.
There's always going to be people with money. We all know that the top 1% of wealth, so they lost like $400 billion worth of wealth, but they still have like $800 billion worth of wealth, or whatever the numbers are. There's always going to be wealthy people, and there's always going to be people aspiring to wealth. It's not really about that. People are going to move to the communities where they see value. So great commute, great schools, beautiful homes, quality neighborhood of people who have the similar values of they want their kids to be around other kids who, when you're a parent, you're choosing your kids' friends by deciding where you want to live. And that's really important, and that's what I communicate to people looking to buy houses, is yeah, you can buy, in this fancy town, but do you want your kids friends with those people's kids? Because that's who your kid becomes. So it's more about building your own community, building the family values that your clients want. Maybe you have clients who don't have kids. They don't care about any of that stuff. You have to get to know who they are and find out what are their buttons, what's most impactful for them, and then you present them with the options that are going to make the most sense for them.
I live in like the crown jewel of South Florida, so I think we're always going to have people moving to our area. Over the pandemic, we had a lot of high net worth people moving to our area from Canada, California, which has never happened before, in droves. And when you have high net worth people moving, you have to have their financial people moving too. So we had Goldman Sachs moving. So we're pretty well saturated, and people are still continuing to move for the lifestyle and the weather. As far as luxury, where do I think that's going? I think for my area, homes are probably going to sit on the market a little bit longer. And I'm going to have to advise my sellers to really price aggressively, seeing what's comparable. The next 3 to 6 months, I think that homes are going to be able to hit that appraisal value because they're basing it on the past, but we have to really educate our sellers to make sure that they're aware of what is happening with the market and how it's going to fluctuate. Probably within the next 9 months, we're going to see a turn.
Where's it going? Well, the market doesn't define our success. It simply defines our strategy. And so always being super knowledgeable in the moment of the market of the day, and then thinking through the best strategy for your client with the information you have every day is critical. And thinking about days on market getting longer, do you have sustainable systems that show care and consistency to your clients? Can you take a listing and in full integrity to your service and your own work-life harmony, can you sustain great service for 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, however long it will take to serve that client? And so just having that very long-term mindset around how we take care of our people, because it was a sprint through the last few years, and now it will be a marathon. So we're always going to be fit.
I love that. That's absolutely really great, because exactly what you said is true. The one thing is that we're going to have to, where the luxury market is going that I could see, is we're going to have conversations that are different than what we've had before. And those conversations are really going to have those questions, those words. Curious, what is your experience of the market? Curious, how much knowledge do you have about the current market in this area? So if that doesn't happen, what are your next moves going to be? Are you prepared for the home not selling? And what would happen if the home did not sell? I'm sure it might not be right for you, but would you consider reducing your price to this? Have you thought of, these are conversations that are going to have your sellers and buyers actually have a conversation with you. Before you price, before you talk marketing, before you do anything, you know exactly what to say and have to have that conversation with them. And once you do that, then you're setting yourself up to win, because your client's going to win in the luxury market or any market. And that's one of the biggest things I find is been doing this for so many years. We used to have those conversations all the time. We had landlines, we started, if I wanted to talk to a client, I had to go to the office because they owned phone, they owned number, and I had to go in the office and sit and wait for them to call. So you had a lot of face-to-face. Don't have that now. You're all digital. You have to put this down, stop sending emails, do videos, and really get personal. That is how you're going to conquer whatever, and stop using the word shift. Excuse me, because every time I hear it, it sounds like shit. And do you want to be in a market that is shitty? Not me. So stop using that word.
Sue, I'm just going to jump in really quick because I want to mention. So, Robyn, you mentioned a book earlier, but there's also another book, and I know you mentioned Exactly What to Say, right, which is a great book for, I would really recommend it. It's Phil M. Jones is the author, and he wrote a book, Exactly What to Say. He also travels the country and gives courses and teaches realtors how to have difficult conversations with their clients. And you can tell Robyn, she's already a pro, but she is certified in Exactly What to Say.
So I teach people.
Exactly. And just putting it out there, Robyn and I are going to do an event sometime this year where we bring that as a webinar, because it's very interesting and it's powerful to know how to communicate. So anyway,
thank you.
Sue, go ahead.
It's interesting because what I'm experiencing right now in our high-end market is that is the market that is still doing really well. We're putting homes on in the mid-3s that are still going over 4, and we're still experiencing that, yet In other parts of the market, we're starting to see instead of 10 offers, maybe we're getting 2 or 3 offers. So that's kind of what we're seeing. So it's definitely a matter of setting expectations for our sellers. The biggest mistake I'm seeing agents making right now is pricing it where these sale prices are landing. Since everything is closed in the summer, they're seeing where these sale prices were and saying, oh, well, I'm pricing my house, this listing here, versus pricing it at the number that actually got that sale price. Because typically most of the offers, as we know, come in at a certain level, and then 1 or 2 motivated people who lost out on the bidding war, they're the ones who are bidding it up. But pricing it there, you're going to end up doing price reduction, then it gives the impression that the whole market is coming down when it was just mispriced. So I can't stress that enough when it comes to the pricing piece of it. But setting the expectations that, yes, if we price it where we're supposed to price it, you may not see those numbers. I mean, that ship may have sailed, but you need to get to their motivation, because if they're selling just to get this unrealistic price, do you really want to take that listing? And then if they say, well, I want to wait till the market comes down a little, well, how long are you willing to wait? Because we all know when a market drops, it drops quickly. It could drop 10% overnight, but then when it comes back, history shows us that it's 2-3% a year that it comes back. So how many years are you willing to wait for that market to come back? So 5 years from now, 7 years from now, if you're still in the same place that you are, will you have regrets that you didn't do this now? So that's really the question to ask.
This is good stuff. Can I get a recording of this?
As a matter of fact, you will. Yes.
All right, good.
Yes, all sessions are being recorded.
Because I'm not taking notes. Other than the books
I got you,
that
Jason.
guys-
I got you.
Thank you. I don't really like to opine to clients on where I think things are going. It's a lot easier to just talk about where they're at and what's happening now, because that's factual, and it's hard to be wrong about what is. But I would say this: I don't know what's going to happen, and I take a lot of comfort in something that Mike Ferry says, which is that in the toughest markets, the agents who work the hardest gain a lot of market share. So if you're committed and you're in a good mindset, a tough market is a good opportunity for you to actually build your business. So if it happens, so be it.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this panel. You gave some really good nuggets with everybody. So let's give them a hand.